Divorce in the Middle East has long been a controversial topic. Traditionally, it's been a man's prerogative. He could end a marriage simply by saying, "I divorce you," 3 times. But women? They've had to jump through hoops just to consider separation. That is, until one princess decided to flip the script. In a move that sent shockwaves through the Arab world, Dubai's princess Sheikha Mahra took to Instagram, of all places, to announce her divorce. But no one divorced quite like this. Now, we're about to dive into a royal drama that's rewriting the rules. This whole drama started when a stunning Dubai princess took to Instagram to drop a bombshell. "Dear husband," she writes, "as you are occupied with other companions, I hereby declare our divorce." Oh snap, but wait, there's more. She goes on to say, "I divorce you, and I divorce you." 3 times, folks. Sound familiar? That's right. Princess Sheikha Mahra bint Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum just pulled a Uno reverse card on centuries of Islamic divorce tradition. But before we get into the juicy details of this royal split, let's rewind a bit. Who exactly is this princess? And how did we get here? Sheikha Mahra is the daughter of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the big boss of Dubai. We're talking about a man who's not just fabulously wealthy, but also the vice president and prime minister of the UAE.
This is my grandfather's house, where my father and mother and us lived here.
So, yeah, Mahra's kind of a big deal. Now, unlike some of her more conservative royal counterparts, Mahra's always been a bit of a rebel. She doesn't wear a hijab, loves bright colors, and isn't afraid to show her face on social media. In fact, she's got quite the Instagram following. But hey, when your mom's Greek and your dad's one of the most powerful men in the Middle East, I guess you get to bend the rules a little. But let's talk about Mahra's upbringing for a sec. Unlike most of her siblings, she wasn't raised entirely in Dubai. Her mom, Zoe Grigorakos, took her to London after divorcing Sheikh Mohammed. Rumor has it, Zoe got a cool 90 million in the split, not too shabby. Little Mahra, originally named Christina, spent her early years in a posh London house, straddling 2 very different worlds. Fast forward to 2009, and teenage Mahra's back in Dubai. But Daddy Dearest isn't exactly known for being lax. But that's yet another very long and equally as complicated story about Dubai's royal family drama. And we did do a deep dive a while ago on this exact topic. So, if you'd like to find out more about how Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum allegedly holds his own daughters hostage, then make sure to watch this video as well. Now, back to our princess. Somehow, Mahra snagged more freedom than her siblings. She's out and about at public events, soaking up the limelight. And speaking of bending rules, let's talk about that wedding. In 2023, Mahra tied the knot with Sheikh Mahra bin Mohammed Al Maktoum. Yes, they're cousins. And yes, that's pretty common in royal circles. Their wedding was the stuff of fairy tales. We're talking a celebration that had the whole world watching. Designer gowns, diamond-studded everything, and enough flowers to fill a botanical garden. It was the kind of event that makes regular folks like us wonder if we're even living on the same planet. Now let's dish about that wedding dress. Mahra didn't just wear any old gown. Nope, she rocked a Greek-inspired number with an open neckline, a nod to her mom's heritage perhaps, and the jewelry, oh boy, we're talking about a Chopard diamond watch, bracelet, and rings that probably cost more than most of us will see in a lifetime. But here's the kicker. While Mahra was serving modern princess realness, her hubby, Sheikh Mahra, showed up in traditional Arabian attire. Talk about a culture clash on the catwalk. And after the wedding, things only continued to be picture perfect. The couple jetted off to the Greek islands for their honeymoon, in Mykonos to be exact, looking every bit the loved-up newlyweds. Jet skiing, romantic dinners, sunset walks, you name it, they did it. And they made sure to share it all on Instagram, because if it's not on social media, did it even happen? But it wasn't all beach vibes and sunset selfies. Sheikh Mahra, it turns out, is quite the entrepreneur. He's got his fingers in all sorts of pies. Trading, tech, real estate, you name it. And get this, he's been spotted rubbing elbows with some pretty controversial figures. We're talking dinner dates with Andrew Tate, the guy who got arrested on human trafficking charges. Meanwhile, Mahra was building her own empire on Instagram. With close to 900,000 followers as of July 2024, she's not just a princess, she's a full-blown influencer. From designer outfits to humanitarian work, she's been serving up a carefully curated glimpse into royal life. But little did we know, trouble was brewing behind those perfectly filtered posts. Fast forward a few months, and the couple announced they were expecting. Cue the royal baby fever. In May 2024, little Princess Mahra arrived, named after her mom. Aw, how sweet, right? The world cooed over photos of the new family, with proud Papa Sheikh Mahra watching over. But here's where things get interesting. Just 2 months after baby Mahra's arrival, Mama Mahra dropped that divorce bomb we talked about earlier. Talk about a plot twist. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal? People get divorced all the time, right? Well, yes and no. In the Islamic world, and especially in royal circles, divorce is a whole different ballgame. Traditionally, it's been the man's right to initiate divorce. A woman seeking divorce, that's been a lot trickier, but not to Sheikha Mahra. She didn't just file for divorce. She announced it to the world on Instagram using the very words that men have used for centuries to divorce their wives. It's like she looked at centuries of tradition and said, nah, I'm good. So what led to this dramatic turn of events? Well, according to the rumor mill, Sheikh Mahra might have been caught with his hand in the cookie jar, if you know what I mean. Some sources claim Mahra caught him cheating. Others suggest he wanted to take a second wife, which, by the way, is 100% allowed in Islam. But apparently, Mahra wasn't about to play second fiddle to anyone. What do you think? If you were in Mahra's designer shoes, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have handled it differently? All right, now let's dive even deeper into this whole royal drama. The fallout from Sheikha Mahra's Instagram divorce bomb was, well, explosive. Imagine you're scrolling through your usual Instagram feed, double-tapping cute cat videos and your friends' brunch pics, when bam, a Dubai princess drops a divorce announcement. Talk about a scroll stopper. The internet went wild. Comments poured in faster than oil from a Dubai well. You go, girl. Queen behavior. This is what empowerment looks like. It was like the whole world was suddenly on Team Mahra. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about one couple's marital drama. This was way bigger. Sheikha Mahra's post sent shockwaves through the entire Middle East. Why? Well, let's break it all down. First off, she used the triple talaq. That's the I divorce you ×3 thing we talked about earlier. Traditionally, that's been a man's move. It's like she grabbed the patriarchy playbook and rewrote it in hot pink ink. Secondly, she did it publicly, on Instagram of all places. In a culture where family matters are usually kept hush-hush, this was like setting off fireworks in a library. Quiet? We don't know her. And let's not forget, she's royalty. We're not talking about your average influencer here. This is a princess, daughter of one of the most powerful men in the region. Her actions don't just make waves, they create tsunamis. Now, some of you might be thinking, but wait, can she even do that? Is it legal? Well, that's where things get a bit murky. In many Islamic countries, women don't have the same divorce rights as men. They often need to go through courts, prove grounds for divorce, and sometimes even pay back their dowry. But Sheikha Mahra, she just did it. She took matters into her own hands and flipped the script. It's like she looked at centuries of tradition and said, watch this. Of course, not everyone was cheering. Some traditionalists were shocked. They were probably crying out, how dare she? This isn't how things are done. But you know what? Times are changing, and Mahra just gave that change a royal push. Now let's talk about Sheikh Mahra for a sec. Poor guy, or not, depending on how you look at it, went from being the envy of every eligible bachelor in the Middle East to, well, let's just say his stock took a nosedive. After Mahra's post, he did what any self-respecting millennial would do. He scrubbed his Instagram clean of any trace of his ex. It was like their lavish wedding, romantic honeymoon, and new baby never even happened. But here's a question for you. Do you think Sheikh Mahra saw this coming, or was he as blindsided as the rest of us? And now let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. Sheikha Mahra's actions didn't just affect her own life. They sparked a conversation about women's rights in the Middle East. Suddenly, everyone was talking about divorce laws, women's empowerment, and the role of social media in modern royalty. It's like Mahra opened a door, and now other women are peeking through, wondering if they too can step out of the shadows of tradition. But before we crown Mahra as the poster child for women's liberation, let's remember something. She's still a princess. She's got wealth, power, and influence that most women in the region can only dream of. Her bold move might be inspiring, but it's not exactly replicable for the average Jane. But here's the million-dirham question. Will Sheikha Mahra's actions lead to real change? Will we see more women in the Middle East demanding equal divorce rights? Or is this just a blip on the radar, a royal exception to the rule? What do you think? Is Mahra a trailblazer or just a privileged princess throwing a very public tantrum? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about Daddy Dearest for a moment. Sheikh Mohammed, Mahra's father, has been suspiciously quiet about this whole affair. Is he secretly cheering on his daughter's rebellion? Or is he fuming behind those palace walls? Remember, this is the same guy who's had his own share of marital drama. Two of his daughters, Princesses Latifa and Shamsa, allegedly tried to escape Dubai, claiming their father was oppressive. So it's not like he's a stranger to these types of controversies. Quite the contrary, in fact.
My father. He is the worst criminal you can ever imagine in your life. And he has this image of so modern, and all my father cares about is his reputation. He will kill people to protect his own reputation.
So is Mahra's Instagram divorce a form of rebellion against her father too? Is she saying, look, Dad, I'm not going to be trapped in an unhappy marriage like my sisters? It's food for thought, isn't it? Now, I can almost hear some of you saying, but what about the baby? Won't someone think of the children? Well, fear not. Little Princess Mahra seems to be doing just fine. Her mom's even recently posted a pic of the two of them, reminding everyone that as long as they have each other, it's all good. But it does make you wonder, what will life be like for a child caught in the middle of such a public split? As we wrap up this royal saga, let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer audacity of what Sheikha Mahra did. In one Instagram post, she challenged centuries of tradition, sparked a global conversation, and possibly changed the course of women's rights in the Middle East. Not bad for a day's work, huh? So, what do you think the future holds for our rebel princess? Will she continue to push boundaries? Will she inspire a wave of change? Or will the powers that be push back? So keep your eyes peeled, your notifications on, and your popcorn ready. Because in the world of Middle Eastern royalty, the drama never stops. It just gets posted on social media. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? Are you Team Mahra, or do you think she went too far? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into royal drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because trust me, with royals like these, there's always more tea to spill. Until next time, stay royal, my friends.